Let us start. Brushes are a useful tool from Photoshop to create and use for better and faster dithering, or to create stems which can be reused for different parts of the image if you want to. It's a matter of liking, but to create them we have to show first the problem that are given with typical Photoshop brushes. A typical Photoshop brush is something like this one. You have something with shading from left to right, and you use a color like, for example, blue, and you go over it, and bada, looks nice. And if you go close, you think, okay, maybe it's just anti-aliasing, but no, it's not. If you look stuff like here, in this area, you can see it mixes the color between red and blue, and you get something like this violet in between and stuff like that. It's okay if you're working on a normal image, but not on a pixel art piece, because you create a lot of more colors like you want, as you want. For example, the only colors we need in the moment are this color we have used on the heart, and so we have to change from the standard brush to a normal pencil brush, which is okay. You can use it then to paint with this one, and you can even use it if you go to a smaller size like 1 to pixel 1 pixel by another. That's nice, but not the reason why I should use Photoshop in this way, because it's not really efficient. But we can create brushes. You will see like this big one. I did this here. You can also already add some pressure sensitivity to it, which is then something like this. Okay, make it a little bit bigger, and you can see it better. Yeah, you can see here now it with a less amount of pressure, it's small, and with a little bit more, it's bigger. But yeah, that's nice, but not really useful for us now. You see, it's really harsh for us. For pixel art, it's really small. Mixture between slow pressure and high pressure. So go to pressure spacing maybe, and you can see it get better. That's one way to give it at least from the size a little bit more control, and you can also change the pen pressure maybe a little bit, yeah, but it's not really helpful for this case. It's just a better way to extend the spacing a little bit. But still, it doesn't have any dithering at all. But how can we add this? And you will see already here's a texture, and this texture we have to create first. For this one, we jump then directly to this image, which is really small, and you think there's nothing, but if we go down the tunnel of zooming, you can see that we have here some really nice 2x2 pixel size image in black and white. The black and white is important because any gray value between white and black will be interpreted as an anti-aliasing value between black and white. Black is nothing and white is 100% alpha channel. So keep to these values to be happy with the brushes you get at the end. And like I said, it's the texture we will create here, so we can use something like this or this X dithering, and I keep this X dithering here, make a selection of all, then jump to the edit window, and here we have two options which will be interesting in this chapter. The first one is brush preset. We don't use it here because, like I said, we have a texture. We can add to the brush we have seen already, and this is the reason why we will use now, for the first time, define pattern. We push it here, say xdiver. Okay, nice for me. Go to the other image again, because we want to test it really fast. Go to the brush, like this one. We are still on the pencil brush. Bigger size, please. Yeah, it works, but it's white. So we go to the brush settings, shape dynamics. We add again here pen pressure. Then we go to texture. This is an interesting one. Keep in mind always to say the scale, because the texture, the scale of the texture is always 100%. If it's lower or higher, it will be get distorted and doesn't look good anymore. Brightness 0, contrast 0, that's very important too, because you don't want to change any value in color. Like I said, black is none, white is 100%. So this will be happening for the texture too. And so far we have selected, but we don't see anything because we don't use the mode hide. We use subtract, and subtract makes just that what I said. The black lines are now removed from the brush and the white ones are shown. And with this one we can now, okay, I changed the color, so can now be used to differ as far as we want to. Easy as it can be. So make sure you go to the brushes, go down to a folder where you can add your brushes, like my super pixel brushes. So add it here, say xdiver 001, up for your next 100 maybe. And but I did miss something. Okay, you can press this one, and here are many options which will be interesting. The most important one is include two settings. This is very important to set this one because we will always use the texture, and this is part of the two settings. And the pressure sensitivity is also part of this one. The size, yeah, you can do so. If you want to make some different sizes, that's fine. Or you can resize the image and the texture will always fit, like here. Don't include the color because from my experience it's better to say that you don't change the color at the moment where you change the brush, because like this one, if I make something like this and then change to another brush where's the color, you suddenly have something like this, and you don't want maybe to change the color. You always can choose then 2 on the second way if you make something here like your color selector and go over the stuff again. Okay, let's remove the stuff. This one is so far one brush which is a pressure sensitive and also can resize if we need to. And like I said, if you want to have a little bit more control about the way it's going small or big, go to the brush tip and play around with the spacing a little bit, because sometimes if you reduce it, it looks more like it should be intended to, then it's on 1%, because you always get maybe a little bit too much pressure. But you have to try it out, because it's depending on your pen and your display you have, which your tablet display, which might be a little bit too sensitive for this stuff. Up to the last one of the brushes, and that is something like a stamp brush. For this we go to another image I already did here, which is something like a new pattern. Now we will get again, we put this up in black and white, and now we go back again in the edit window and change this time to a define brush preset. Maybe we see now one error, we will see. Okay. Ooh, what's that? That's not the brush I wanted. Yeah, well, it is in a way, but not the way you think it is. Because now we have to change the color from invert the colors, that the black ones are these we want to draw later. So we have to select, change it back. The points we want to see later in the brush will be black, and the other ones will be white. So we go back to edit, make define brush preset, another one, say pattern 001, and now you see it has the right size and can hover over this one. If you see some distortion, maybe you have been switched between pencil and brush. If you have brush, it will not look alright, so go back to the pen and try again to capture the brush. So now we have this small pattern as a brush. Go back to our image. Now I select the color, but you can see it's a continuously drawing. That's not what we want. So we go down again to the brush tip shape and say go to the biggest size you can get, and now you can do something like this. Pop, pop. And even if you go down there, it takes the time till the next one comes, so you have a little bit of more freedom without any problem that might be occur if you are using the continuous brush. That's really nice. So you can make something like a big dithering before you start with the small dithering on the other side here of this design, and you can see always in the preview image how it will be looking. So far for the brushes.